Hey guys, so we're going to take care of the last set of notes in your packets. So we're going to be on the 2.13 notes for proportion word problems. So we're going to use the same proportions from the previous video, but now you're responsible for writing the proportion first. So if we take the word problem, it says the Smith's minivan requires 5 gallons of gasoline to travel 120 miles. How much gasoline will they need to travel 350 miles? The key is whatever you are putting on the top of your fraction needs to be the same for both fractions, and whatever's on the bottom also needs to be the same. So think about what they're talking about. It says it takes 5 gallons of gasoline to travel 120 miles, right? Then they're asking how much gas does it take to travel 350 miles? So if I'm thinking about setting up my fractions, those are the two things we're talking about. We're talking about gallons of gas, and we're talking about how many miles those gallons take us. So if I'm setting up my proportion, I'm going to set up my proportion using the numbers they give me. So it takes 5 gallons of gas to go 120 miles. Then my other fraction is how much gas, so that's where I can put whatever letter we want, so we can just use an X, to go 350 miles. So now our process is the same as yesterday or the previous video, that we cross multiply and we find X. So 120 times X is going to equal 5 times 350, which is 1,750. And then we are dividing both sides by 120. You might get answers that are not whole numbers now, and that's okay. So in this case, we get that X is 14, and because it's a 0.58, we're going to round to 14.6. And remember, we were finding gallons, right? Always want to make sure that we put a unit with our answer, explaining what it is we found that goes with the word problem. If you need more time with example 1, hit pause. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next example. On a blueprint for a house, 2.5 inches equals 10 feet. If the length of a wall is 12 feet, how long is it on the blueprint? So we're talking about 2.5 inches equals 10 feet, and then we have something that's 12 feet. So we're talking about inches on the blueprint, and we're talking about how many feet is that in real life. So if I have 2.5 inches being 10 feet, then how many inches will give us 12 feet? Right? Because if the length of the wall is 12, how many inches is what I'm looking for? So again, we want to cross multiply. So 10 times X, we're going to equal, if I go the other way, 2.5 times 12, that's 30. And so we divide both sides by 10, X equals 3. And remember, we were finding 3 inches on our blueprint. If you need more time with this example, hit pause. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next problem. An airplane has a length of 78 meters and a wingspan of 90 meters. If a model of the plane has a wingspan of 36 centimeters, how long is the model? So there is more than one correct way to set up your proportion. So some people, if we're talking about 78 meters, 90 meters, 36 centimeters, but the key here is we got to look at the other part. This was a length of 78. This is a wingspan of 90. This is a wingspan of 36, right? So yes, I have meters and centimeters, but I also am talking about a length and a wingspan. So you can do meters and centimeters if you'd like, but you just have to make sure then that you're also matching up length and wingspan. So it's the meters can be on top of both, centimeters can be on the bottom of both, but you also have to match each fraction, one fraction for length, one fraction for wingspan, okay? The other way to do this is you could say, okay, I want the length of both things on top, and I want the wingspan of both things on the bottom, okay? So let me slide this over here. So basically, I'm going to show you two different proportions, and then we're actually going to look at the fact that they come out to be the same answer. So one option is to say, okay, I have a length of 78 meters. I do not know the length. I have a wingspan of 90 meters and a wingspan of 36 centimeters. Or I have a length of 78 meters, a wingspan of 90 meters for the real plane, and I have a unknown length and a wingspan of 36 for the model plane. Both of these proportions are correct because when I go to cross multiply, notice 90 times x. Over here, I also have 90 times x. The x might just be in a different spot, but the same thing is happening. So when I cross multiply in the other direction, we're going to have 78 times 36. So that's 2,808. Same thing over here. So what I'm showing you is you and someone else might write a different proportion, but as long as you are cross multiplying the same numbers, you're getting the same answer. And so there's more than one correct setup as long as you're cross multiplying the correct values. So if I divide both sides by 90, we get 31.2 centimeters. And so what we want to remember is I know it's centimeters because we're talking about the length of the model plane, and the model plane was measured in centimeters. So how you choose to set up this problem is your choice. Okay, you only need to do the question once. So really, I'm just showing you two options here. Again, it's just important that when you set up your fractions, you make your fractions match. If you need more time with this example, hit pause. And if you're ready, then we're going to move on to the last question. If a paint company can paint 300 square feet in 2 hours, at this rate, how long will it take them to paint 2,100 square feet? I would like you to hit pause, and I would like you to try this question on your own. So hit pause now. Hopefully you have tried this last question on your own. We're talking about 300 square feet in 2 hours, and then they want us to find out what happens to 2,100 square feet. So we have our square feet, right? And we have our hours. So when I'm setting up my proportion, 300 square feet takes 2 hours. 2,100 square feet takes how many hours? And so we cross multiply 300 times x Remember, if you had a different proportion, that's okay as long as you're cross multiplying these same numbers. So as long as this step says 300x and 4,200, you're good. And so that means my final step is to divide by 300. So 4,200 divided by 300 gives us 14 hours in order to paint 2,100 square feet. Make sure you take care of the homework. Make sure you upload it to Canvas for your credit. Thanks, guys.